Deep in the heart of Colombia, far from the bustling cities and serene villages, lies a dense forest known only to the locals as El Bosque de los Perdidos, the Forest of the Lost. Stories about this place have passed through generations, told in whispers around campfires and behind closed doors. Few dared to venture into its depths, and those who did often never returned. Isabella was a young journalist, drawn to the supernatural by a thirst for truth. She had heard the legends of the haunted forest and believed there was more to the tales than just folklore. Determined to uncover the mystery, she packed her equipment and set out on a journey, guided by nothing but her curiosity and a desire for a story that would make her name. The forest greeted her with towering trees that blocked out the sun, casting eerie shadows on the ground. The air was thick with the scent of moss and decay, and the silence was unsettling. Even the birds seemed to avoid this place. Isabella walked carefully, her footsteps the only sound in the oppressive stillness. Hours passed, and the deeper she went, the more the forest seemed to close in around her. The trees became twisted and gnarled, their branches stretching out like skeletal hands. Strange symbols, etched into the bark of the trees, began to appear, markings that looked ancient and ominous. Suddenly, the air turned cold, and a low whisper reached her ears. Isabella froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, as if a chorus of voices was calling out from the shadows. She turned in all directions, but there was no one in sight. Yet the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. Panic began to creep in, but she pressed on, refusing to turn back. She came upon an old stone altar, covered in moss and vines. The sight of it sent a shiver down her spine. It was then that she noticed something even more disturbing. Figures, translucent and glowing faintly, flickered in the periphery of her vision. Ghosts! Isabella's breath caught as the apparitions drew nearer, their faces twisted in agony. They reached out to her, their hands clawing at the air, their mouths moving in silent screams. The whispers returned, filling her mind with a language she couldn't understand, yet somehow knew was a warning. Fear gripped her, but she was too deep into the forest now to turn back. Isabella's heart raced as the ghostly figures closed in. She stumbled backward, nearly losing her balance as the ground beneath her seemed to pulse with a dark energy. The whispers had become a deafening chorus, each voice blending into another, making her head spin. The apparitions circled the stone altar, their hollow eyes fixed on her. For a brief moment, she wondered if this was it, if she would become one of the lost souls, doomed to wander the forest for eternity. But something inside her refused to give in. She had come too far, risked too much. Desperately, she scanned the altar, searching for any clue, any sign of how to escape this nightmare. Her gaze fell on the ancient symbols carved into the stone, similar to the ones she had seen on the trees. With trembling hands, she reached for her camera, snapping a picture of the carvings, hoping they might hold the key.